Hi everyone. So welcome to Move2Oz 101 webinar. And this webinar is organized by Haze Migration. Sorry. And yeah, welcome to everyone to the webinar. And let me introduce today's speaker of the webinar. First, we will have the registered migration agent from Haze Migration, Maggie, and also me. My name is Kiki, and
exactly, I'm a marketing specialist at Move2Oz.
Yay! So today we will cover different topics for people who are outside in Australia who are interested in the Australian PR, get to know like what the benefit of the Australian PR, and also we will introduce you the different states in the Australia because many people just don't know many places, right? They just know the big cities, right? And so we will also introduce the different PR pathway for if you're interested to move to Australia, move to Aussie, like the different pathway for you to move here. And lastly, we will have our Q&A section that if you have any questions, just feel free to leave us the comments like in the chatting box. So we will answer it like after that. So first, so I would like to talk about like the benefits of Australian PR because like maybe you now are considering getting Australian PR or not, or maybe consider move to other countries. So like here is the benefit. So Maggie, as a very experienced registered migration agent, you might have many experience with clients, maybe they're around age 40s and have a family, something like that. So what do you think is the PR benefits that most people concerned about?
Okay, so for someone, majority of my clients, so I have been dealing with mainly with clients who are either investors or skilled migrations. So majority of clients who chose Australia as the destination of, I guess, migration, you know, are for the social benefit that we have. So mainly I'm going to talk about is the Medicare and the Centrelink. So as you know, Medicare is like the equivalent health system in some of the country, like the Obamacare in the America in the past. So you get bulk billing Medicare rebate on that. So basically, which means when you go to a doctor, you pay either no money or a very small amount of money to visit a doctor in a hospital. What a lot of people don't know about Medicare is that we do have a reciprocal agreement with some other countries. So for example, if you travel to UK, like what I did in the past, you can also get the NHS cover over there as agreement between Australia and the UK. And the other thing about the social benefit is the Centrelink benefit that you will receive. It basically covers someone from the birth to the death. You know, parents can get a parental leave, maternity leave. Newborn baby will receive some payment. And then when you send the child to childcare, there are subsidies or parenting payment. When your child turns 18 and they go to universities, themselves can receive a youth allowance if they don't have any other income. After they graduate, if they can't find a job, then there's a job seeker payment for someone who doesn't job. I think this helped a lot of people during the COVID time. You know, Australia government put a lot of money in the job seeker payment. So and then at the last, when you retire, there's a pension. And I think the other thing for people at this age is about education. So as we know that Australia has the top 8 universities in Australia are pretty much ranked the top 100 in Australia. We also offer free public schooling from, you know, year 1 to year 12. So primary school to, you know, the to high school. And then, yeah, just the 2 slides that passed away, that's about the living cost. That's, I think, what most people cares when they decide to relocate to another country. Amount of all those countries, especially the developed country, we are not the most expensive ones. And I think, you know, countries like Switzerland and Norway are ranked far, you know, before us. We also did some research about the average housing price in the major cities, so which will help you to make a decision where you actually want to be. I know people are interested in Sydney, Melbourne, but have a look the housing price. You know, there are a lot of more affordable and I guess livable cities in Australia, which we're going to discuss later on. And the last thing I really want to mention is about the salary. Yeah. So in Australia, our minimum salary at the moment is $21.38 per hour, and that comes with annual leave and sick leave. So I guess if you're full-time employees, you should get a 4 weeks annual leave, 2 weeks of sick leave, and the full-time hour is 37.5 hours per week. If you compare that with some other developed country that most people would like to do, UK, New Zealand, and the US, our minimum salary is, you know, way above those. If you are not working on a permanent basis, you should receive additional 25% on top of that minimum rate. On top of the minimum rate, you also are guaranteed for a 10.5% of superannuation, which contribute to a fund that you will have access when you retire. So I think that's what most people would care about, you know, when they are, I guess, older. So what would you guys think? Like, what would you choose? Like, what would help you to decide if you are going to migrate to a country?
Yeah, I also agree with the part social benefits. There is, I think, one of the things that all migrants looking forward to, because comparing to like some of those developing countries, that we don't have that shopping. In my home countries, I don't have shopping like free access of Medicare or something. We have to pay a lot of money to take care of our health. And also talk about the employment salary base. Pretty much if I'm working in Australia for 1 week, I can like the salary income is just compared like 1 month in my country. And yeah, it's very high, and also the living cost, even though the living cost is high as well, but the salary is not bad. We can like, I still can have some saving from while I'm working in Australia. And also, yeah, the education, yeah, is the best.
Yeah, Kiki, so you coming from Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
Hong Kong is a lot more developed than, I guess, where Natalie from. So why would you choose Australia then?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as you know, Hong Kong is a city which has the most expensive housing in the world. So basically people paying for like over maybe around 50% of their income for their housing. So it means that you work hard, but like eventually all your money just go to the housing and different things, and you don't have much money left like in your pocket to go travel, enjoy your lifestyle. So this is the reason I want to move to Australia, because like yeah, as you said, like the salary is really high, so I can have a work-life balance lifestyle here. Means that after I work, and then I can still pay the rent, the basic cost of living, I still have some money to enjoy myself, to you know, have relaxed. And then besides that, I want to mention another point is that the climate and the time zone is really close to Hong Kong. So as a 30 plus age person, like I concerned about if I can keep in touch with my parents or my family in my hometown. So like Hong Kong time zone is just 2 hours difference with the Australia. And also the climate is also really warm. As an Hong Kong person, like I don't like being cold because I went to Canada and US before. It's really cold and yeah, different factors. So this is why I chose Australia.
And one thing is very interesting is the full-time working hour in Australia is just around 38 hours.
What's the full time in Vietnam?
It's like we work from Monday till Saturday. Working hour is from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. something like that, and then we receive the salary by month as well. So like sometimes you need like a money on the salary need to use, but you have to wait until your salary routing to receive that, and like you work for whole month to just use your money in one day.
That's the thing I want to point out. In Australia, there are different arrangements on salary payment. It's decided by the company. So you do hear people get paid weekly, or every 2 weeks, for fortnightly, or monthly. I had one job in the past. It was monthly pay, and that was painful.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so yeah, that's why we chose Australia. So if people like when they don't know anything about Australia, right, and then they only know some places like Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, maybe just these main three cities. And so we want to let you know about more places in Australia, not only just these three cities, especially for PR, then more places you can consider. And so basically Australia divide the areas into these three main categories. First is, of course, is the main cities, Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, as you know. And the second tier cities, is also some famous cities like Gold Coast or Perth or here in Adelaide. These are also really excellent places to live and also for PR as well. And of course, like the other areas, like out of these two options are like other regional areas. So surprisingly, as I know that like Australia, the definition for the regional areas is really broad. So before I come to Australia, I always think that like Australia, like the regional areas, I don't know what's out there. Like, is it nothing, just a desert? Like something like that.
I think
but
that's
now
what most people are still thinking, because I have been to on your list, I think I've been to everything on the main city and the second tier, and some of the regional areas as well. You know, people still don't know the life in those areas, and it's not as what you think. Well, I had a similar thought before I went to Darwin, which is not on the list, so it's other region. I thought it's like a desert, to be honest with you. Like those movies, you know, you know, in some very rural area in America, you have those, you know, in the middle of desert, you have those bars and shops on the street, and that was it. But Darwin is actually a very modern city, I have to say. It has more, I guess, a high-rise building than Adelaide. They did build a lot of new apartments in the city center and also office buildings. So, and also just outside of Darwin, I guess, city center, there are a lot of suburban areas which has shopping centers, and also the university, the Charles Darwin University as well. Apart from Darwin, in Northern Territory, there are also smaller, I would say call them town then, which also offers, you know, international students to study. One of these areas called Alice Springs. Not many people know that place, and a lot of people think Alice Springs is a suburb of Darwin. It is not. It is in Central Australia, closer to that big rock on the slideshow. They also do, you know, they also offer study for international students, and they have very good PR pathway there. on the contrast, so Darwin is a very, I guess, tropical climate. So on the contrast, that's Hobart. Hobart is the most southern island. So it's not on the mainland of Australia, it's the island of Australia. So yeah, it's a bit different. They have mountains, they get snow in the winter, they get a longer winter than us, so than main island. It's a pretty island because I like outdoor, you guys know that. So there are good camping places, good hiking places, and there is also a city with lots of restaurants and place to go shopping. So I would highly suggest, if you are considering moving to those areas, or if you just heard about that, just go visit yourself.
Yeah, like that's really great because I agree with you, Maggie, because as you told me before, Darwin or Hobart, like the life there is so amazing. Like people always get jobs like in Darwin. So I feel amazed. So I agree with you. People have so much misunderstanding or like wrong impression for those areas. For myself, I have been in Australia for a few years and I live in Queensland, WA, like Perth, and now in SA. So like I didn't live in the main cities like naturally like in Melbourne, like those main cities. But I can see like before I moved from Queensland to Perth, like I also have so much wrong impression about Perth. Like, oh, maybe like so much animals around, something like that. But actually, it's not. Like it's really modern and peaceful. Like so many new buildings there, and so many jobs, and people are very friendly, and they have everything as well. And especially for us Asian people, very concerned about Asian food. They have everything there, really. So I would say it's just like a more peaceful version, as with the slower living pace, like that kind of thing of the cities. So it's totally amazing. Yeah.
I just a quick. Hey Maggie, I think you have this horrible voice. Hello, can you hear me, Maggie?
Yeah, the connection is a little bit like very
Horrible, yeah.
yeah.
Your voice is this country.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, a little bit, but not that clear.
Okay, just I received some comments on our live stream. Have some people ask that is it easy to find a job in regional area? Yeah, I also consider it too, because when I decide to move to South Australia, I'm just also, this is my concern that there is no job in regional place. There is not much people, but in fact that now I got a very good job here. Like before in Melbourne, I just around with hospitality, restaurant, waitress, but since I come here, then I got a very good job. I got a job in dry field, so I don't think it's a very difficult to find a job if you really want to looking for a job. Another people asking that are there many people living in Darwin? I heard that there are not much people living there. Is it safe to stay? So I have never been in Darwin before. So how do you think, Maggie?
It depends on USA to compare. Can you still
Sorry, the internet like it's a little bit like have some problem. I think Maggie will come back very soon. So sorry about that. Um, so yeah, I can share as well. So actually, regional area has many different jobs, and but of course it depends on industry, right? Like for example, like in AA, like I used to live in AA, and the mining industries there is really like it's like a top one economies industry there. So it's very easy for people to look for jobs for like engineers or different jobs like even hospitality as well. So yeah, Maggie, are you here?
We still cannot hear you. Let me think.
Did you come back again? Yeah, so sorry about that. Like we will fix it like as soon as possible. So basically what I said is like different states they have different industries. Like for example, like if you do the research like in South Australia is really good at the wine industries and also education sectors as well. So it doesn't mean that like regional areas doesn't have like jobs. Like they do have a lot of jobs. Sometimes for graduates, like Latini, like she has a hard time to look for a job in Melbourne before, but like she come to Australia and she get a job. So it's like it's not like what you think. And so for one question, are there many people living in Darwin? I heard that like there are not much people living there. Is that safe to stay? Is she fine? She come back now?
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
okay, she will come back, right?
So sorry, guys.
So sorry, guys. Yeah, so for the Darwin question, do you have anything to add?
In Darwin?
Oh yeah. Hi Maggie.
Are you back?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good
Yeah,
now.
it's good now.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So for the question, people ask about the Darwin, is it safe to stay and yeah, is there a lot of people to live there?
Okay. It is small, so but it has everything you need, I think. You just need to, I guess, for people coming from overseas, like I said, especially from Asian countries, you need to learn the Australian pace. Okay. It's not about Darwin. It's pretty much everywhere in Australia that it is going to, everything goes slower than like Asian countries. You know, shops close early and they close earlier on weekends, and in very, very rural area, they probably don't even open on weekends. And the bus or train are a lot more slower. Unfortunately, we don't have what we call a subway. We call them train. So you can imagine how slow they are. But in terms of the safety, again, it doesn't matter where you are, because I traveled a fair bit. You always need to exercise the precaution about, you know, in terms of the safety. You know, some areas that you can go, some areas that you shouldn't really go at night. It's just a normal thing for, you know, for people to live in anywhere, I think, because even like I came from Sydney, you know, they have, well, Sydney probably not, but Melbourne has been ranked like the safest city in the world. It also has the longest lockdown in the world. You know, some suburbs in Sydney or Melbourne, local people will tell you, do not ever think about going. So it's not about safety in terms of a particular city. It's some areas like, you know, everyone should avoid.
Okay, there is one thing I want to add. No, I add that it's a fun fact is people they are more know about like the city's name, but they are less know about the state name. Like for example, maybe they didn't know that Sydney is belong to New South Wales, or Melbourne is belong to Victoria, or they just use the term Adelaide, Brisbane, or Melbourne or Sydney, but they lessly to use the term like South Australia, Western Australia. So that is something you need to figure out the state as well, because for the term Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane, it's just the name of the cities, and then you need to, if you want to looking for more information about where you want to live, you need to looking for more about the state name as well.
Yeah, especially I think maybe in later, not in this seminar, but the one we are going to do later on, we are going to introduce you more technical terms about the regional area of the state. So somewhere outside of, Melbourne or Sydney or, Adelaide. So like Natalie said, I think you are right. People need to learn more about the state rather than just cities.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the next part.
Sure. So yeah, let's talk about
The
like
part everyone like it. Everyone like to know.
yeah, the PR pathway of
Yeah.
Australia. So
Okay.
mhm.
This is most familiar to me about the student visa. There is so common thing that people share to each other that if you study in Australia, then you can have a chance to get the PR pathway, something like that. But in fact, that is not all the courses you study will lead to the PR pathway. Important thing you need to consider is what course are you studying. Some popular course currently for the PR pathway, just for your information, PR is just stand for permanent residence. So for your citizen, for get the PR in Australia, there is some common course is social work, nursing, information technology, engineering. And normally if you want to study to Australia, you need to apply for student visa. And one good thing is if you study a course like 2 years course in student visa for one qualification, for like 2 years course, then you can got the temporary visa, have a chance to apply for temporary visa. It's called visa 485. And since because for like the PR pathway, they usually Australia asking people to have more working experience, and just like if you are just graduate, you are no way can get working experience, right? So temporary visa or visa 485 is your chance to earn more the working experience, and then after you got working experience, you can go either general skill visa or employer sponsor visa to get the visa PR. In detail, I think later Maggie will give you a bit more explanation about that type of visa that's showing up on the screen.
Yeah, so like Natalie was just saying, it's a very general way for majority of people to get PR is from student visa to what we call the skilled visa. So I guess skilled visa, it can be done independently, so you don't need to rely on your employer to help you with that. But if you can't do that and you happen to have an employer willing to sponsor you, then you can look at the employer nomination scheme. So for the general skill visa, there are 3 categories, which I'm not going to go into details. So the 3 categories, can we go to next page? Yeah, so some general criteria for a skill visa in Australia, doesn't matter whether you are a student or you're coming from offshore, is that you have to be under 45 years of age. You have to have an occupation that, you can nominate. So if you have been working as a software developer, so software engineer or developer program is your occupation. There is a points test system called the EOI. At 65 is the minimum points you have to get. But it's not it's an entry mark, but having a 65 doesn't guarantee a PR. And also you have to have minimum competent English, so IELTS 6 in each band, so listening, speaking, writing, and reading, at least 6. There are alternative English tests like PTE, that's very popular at the moment, or Cambridge English or TOEFL. That's the other option, but the most popular ones in Australia are IELTS and the PTE. So like I said, for the next page, please. Yeah, so for the 3 visas, it's a combination of your EOI points. Here's the point system. Again, we will spend more time on this in the next chapter, I guess, of our seminar on the points breakdown. So just a quick look at the points, and you have to have what we call a skilled occupation on the occupation list. For this particular list, we have over 500 occupations, from the manager levels, sales, marketing manager or CEO, to the professional levels, like accountant, social workers, Natalie just mentioned, teachers, nurses, they are very popular at the moment, ITs, engineers, to what we call the tradesperson or technicians. So, IT technician is on the list, or a chef is another popular one, is on the list. Also something you probably never thought of, like soccer player, tennis player, horse breeder. Like sometimes you're just surprised to see people come up with, those work experience or occupations that you never thought that's a occupation you can apply for skill visa. So once you have a combination of this and meeting the other requirements, there are 3 visa options, which is the 189, 190, 491. Those terms are the subclass of the visa that we like to use on a daily basis, and they stand for different type of visas. Apart from the skilled visa, there is also an employer nomination pathway. Next page, please. Oh, sorry. I did want to mention that. So within that particular group, there is also a program that's called Ming program that I am the panel agent of the program. So for this particular program, it is for subclass 190, which is a permanent visa straight away. And it's a combination of the investment and skilled. So for people who, I guess, older, so between 35, 45, feel a bit difficult, to compete with those people who are younger and who has a better English. Main program only requires a minimum, so you only need to meet the minimum requirement I just mentioned, and it is open to every single occupation on the list. So as long as that occupation is eligible for the PR, you can apply for PR directly. If you do want more information about this particular program, you can refer to our website, or you can book a consultation with us. And then on the employer nomination scheme, which is next slide, there are 3 pathways. Again, the first 2 are temporary visas, and the last one is one-step permanent visa directly. But the key point is that you have to have a company agree to sponsor you for one of those visas before you can even apply for. So a lot of people want to get a company sponsorship. They probably are working, either offshore or Australia, and which company has some connection with the Australian company. But you got to understand that to apply for this visa, it's not whether you can meet the requirement or not. You still need to meet the requirement. But it is really up to the employer to make that decision. So that's the skill visa. There are other pathways for Australia if you are not, you are not working as an employee, but doing business. Australia also accepts the investment visa applications, which is called a 188. There used to be a permanent visa directly, but that visa was removed on the 1st of July last year, unfortunately. So everyone who's applying for the investment stream has to go through from a temporary stream to a permanent visa. So again, there are different streams which suits different, investors. So whether you are a business person from overseas, then the minimum requirement of the investment are actually a lot lower than what you would think about. But if you are just purely going to bring the cash in, have no intention to do any business in Australia, and then the requirement is a lot higher. So I guess there are different kinds of options that suits people, different ages. Like Natalie said, if you are, I guess, young and has a budget or has a willingness to study in Australia, that is probably the easiest way. But I guess my advice here is that you do need to think of this carefully, because policies changes all the time. Ever since, COVID, for the past 3 years, I don't know how many times they have changed all this thing. So you do need to plan well before you come, and you do have to get prepared that changes could happen anytime during your study. So if you determine to study, then you have to choose the location well. Don't just tell me you want to go to Sydney, Melbourne, and you want to get PR. It's not going to be that easy.
Yeah, regarding to what you just say, they have one person asked now, which city is the best PR pathway?
Okay, at the moment, the government tend to push people to the regional areas. So anything that's not the main city, so the 3 main cities are going to be easier than the main cities. If you want to, I know this year, a lot of people saying there are so many quotas in Sydney or Melbourne. Let's forget about Brisbane. Brisbane is too hard. So many quotas for Sydney and Melbourne, but have a look at their requirements, who are actually receiving invitation. You have to have a very high English score, maybe a lot of work experience, maybe even have required you to study in Australia. Adding all those together, you are not guaranteed for PR. So I think the latest figures from Melbourne is that when they opened up the new program year, they received over 20,000 express of interest just in like 1 month's time. Their total quota, or we call the interim quota, is only 9,000. So in 1 month's time, they receive over 20,000. And I don't know how many more they will receive for the next 11 months, but they only have a quota of 9,000.
Yeah.
So that's how competitive it is.
Yeah, understand. So
yeah, that's Natalie, why you moved to South Australia, right?
Yeah, so if you have an idea to study or looking for PR pathway, don't forget to take a consultation with the Mara agents. Then you will have more information, useful information to save your time, save your money, and like start from the right, have a right direction from the beginning.
Yeah, I agree with you. As a person who immigrate to Australia by the skill migration program, if you choose the have like the right advice for you at the beginning, you can save a lot of time. This is my own experience. Otherwise, you will waste so much time and money and end up nothing. So you have to have a Mara agents like Maggie to give you like a professional advice for your pathway, so you can consider which one is the best for you.
Yeah, I think because I have been doing this for more than 10 years, I have seen some people, they are just bad luck. They came at in the wrong year, and then by the time they graduate, everything changed, and they have to play this game to catch the policy, which is impossible. But some people maybe just came with wrong information, so it could be right, to make the right decision when they came, but unfortunately, they were given the wrong information, or they will just not think about it when they came. Then they would miss out a lot of good opportunities. And like you guys said, it's gonna to waste a lot of money and time on that, because of one small decision you made in the middle of this process.
Okay.
That's all the PR pathway we talk about today. But of course, if you want to get to know more details about the different topics we talk about today, you can stay tuned for our later webinar series, like later, we would have it every 2 or 3 weeks, and we will announce it in our official Facebook, which is Move2Oz. And if you are in different languages, like for example Chinese or Vietnamese, you can also contact us like in these different sub pages, which is like Vietnamese and Chinese.
Yeah. And I think that is all for today. If you need more information regarding to why you should move to Australia, or more information what difference between Australia and Canada, US, for example, so you can contact us or let us know any question that you want to looking for, so we can arrange the webinar then provide you with that useful information. And question and answer, I have one. Someone asked that, can another course such as marketing or design can get the PR in Australia? I guess it's just because like just now I mentioned about social work or teaching, but we didn't mention about marketing or design. So that's why some people who are studying marketing want to ask for this question.
Yeah, like I said, the occupation list is actually a lot longer than you think. There are reasons behind why social work, nursing, or IT is easier or more popular to study, but it doesn't rule out that, you know, marketing or designer person cannot get PR. So all those occupations are on the list. I guess it would suit someone with experience better, which we can explain that in later chapter of the seminar. Like we will go through the details about the requirement on each individual visas. And there is a reason behind that, but it doesn't rule out. So if you have experience as marketing and a designer, there are still opportunities for you guys to get PR. Don't just restrict it to social workers or teachers.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question is coming up is it correct that if we can apply for visa for A5 with any 2 years course?
No. At this time of the year, so this financial year, we run financial year between 1st of July to 30th of June. In this financial year, almost a yes, still not an absolute yes. Generally speaking, you need to have a master bachelor degree. You can get it between 2 to 4 years postgraduate stream. So if you get a master in Australia, you can actually get 3 years. And if you study in regional areas, you can get more than 3 years. But they also offer this graduate stream to some trade course like cookery, motor mechanic, you know, and carpentry, that sort of thing. Those students can still get the graduate visa and also have a permanent pathway.
Okay, thank you a lot.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, okay, thank you. I guess Kiki and Natalie will let you guys know what we are going to do, when we are going to do this next, and what the topic is going to be. So stay tuned on this. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
So see you guys in the next chapter. I mean, we will based on your answer and your question, and then we'll decide what topic we are doing next. And then you can follow us. Don't forget to follow us to know more about option of PR for yourself. Okay.
Yeah, and contact us for any topics you want to know more about.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.